What is a true fact that sounds like a conspiracy theory? Reddit admins have access to an infinite amount of gold. This is so that they can give gold to posts/comments they want to see rise quickly and in turn will promote content that Reddit wants advertisers to see. The reason only the orange variety of carrots is widely available is because the Dutch like the color orange. They leverage their powerful trade networks to make it so. Project Northwoods JFK was proposed an idea from the CIA in which they would rain terror on the American people via random terrorist attacks, military ships being sunk and plane hijackings in which they would blame on Cuba and therefore get the public behind the idea to go to war with Cuba. JFK declined. Both the U.S. and Russia used dolphins and whales to spy on countries. Not really a conspiracy, but I recently read that the Department of Navy and DARPA released Tor to the general public so people could create enough noise to mask the real agents who would need it. Operation Paperclip. Recruit Nazi scientists and insert them into key government tech operations after World War II. This is how the world transitioned from the German V2 rocket to NASA and the ICBM in the span of 30 years. The Dolphin LSD experiment. NASA put a woman in a room that was flooded up to her hips, and let a dolphin loose in there to live with her in order to attempt to teach the dolphin to speak English, and LSD was later used on the dolphin to see if it had some kind of reaction and if it affected its speech lessons. Neil Armstrong had to fill out an immigration form when he arrived back to the US from the moon. I'm several dozens of comments deep, and from what I've learned so far, I've come to the conclusion that the USA really needs to rein it in. There is a high security vault somewhere in the frozen tundra. I seriously think it is in Antarctica. That is full of seeds. Just seeds of almost every known plant species, donated by world governments, in case an apocalypse event happens and we need to repopulate that one type of grape. The US government forcibly sterilized minorities until the 1970s. 25 to 50% of Native American women were sterilized between 1970 and 1976. Some women were told they couldn't receive welfare unless they were sterilized first. Some were told they would no longer receive healthcare if they refused. Some women were told that the procedure was reversible when it was not. Some women went to the hospital for something like a tonsillectomy and were given hysterectomies while they were unconscious. It's amazing to me that this isn't widely known. Recently declassified documents show that the CIA had at least some involvement in the coup d'etat that overthrew Chilean President Salvador Allende. During the coup, not only was Allende's palace bombed, but 40,000 leftists were taken to the National Football Stadium where they were tortured for months. It was a prison camp. Thousands of people were killed or disappeared. Allende's replacement? Augusto Pinochet. I know that the consequences of the coup were out of the hands of the US. But the domino effect of these actions is still crazy to me. The reason people in the US tend to circumcise is because Kellogg, the guy who invented cereal, gained a platform preaching puritanical ideas about how circumcision would prevent masturbation. In fact, the original cereal he created was purposely bland and disgusting in a further attempt to give America a proverbial cold shower. Starfish's mouths are located on the center of their bodies, and in most mermaid movies they use starfish to cover their boobies. Pretty weird, man. What's going on there, you know? The US government tested drugs and chemical weapons on its own soldiers and various animals during the Cold War at the Edgewood Arsenal facility. It's also where we got bulletproof vests and some vaccines. If you want to ruin your day, look up Bad Trip to Edgewood. That the US government spies on Americans and holds communications in the largest data center in the world in UT, hoping to one day break the encryption and read the data. The whole story of Rasputin's death sounds too absurd to be true. For those of you who don't know the full story, in late 1916 Rasputin was invited to the husband of the Tsar's niece's house, where he was offered cakes laced with cyanide. Rasputin ate these, and also drank 3 glasses of poisoned wine. He was then shot in the chest close to his heart and was thought to be dead. When he was checked, he got up and fought off his attacker. who then shot him in the back followed by the head before beating him heavily with a truncheon. They then wrapped his body in cloth and drove him to a nearby bridge and threw his body off into the freezing river. He was found dead a few days later with the cause of death being drowning. And he still had the strength to try and claw his way out of the ice. Dr. Rasputin was poisoned 4 times. Shot in the back and chest and then once in the forehead. Heavily beaten with rumors of castration. Then thrown into a freezing river and still survived. Only dying of drowning. Still Dr. Listen to the song by Boney M. That's a bop. Number 1. In 1945, corporations paid 50% of federal taxes. Now they pay about 5%. Number 2. In 1900, 90% of Americans were self-employed. Now it's about 2%. It's called consolidation. Strengthen governments and corporations. Weaken individuals. With taxes. This can be done imperceptibly over time. You're better off buying 1 large pizza instead of 2 mediums. In terms of area. This is why pizza companies push the 2 mediums for $___ deals. The Kawaii movement in Japan leading World War II was a part of a campaign on the Japanese government's side to show them as the innocent victim of the atomic bomb. Covering up their millions of murders in China and attempt at conquering the Pacific. And seeing as how few people know this and how the atomic bomb is portrayed in the media. It worked. The firebombing of Tokyo killed 500,000 plus 100,000 civilians. When Robert McNamara, future Secretary of State, high-ranking officer in the Air Force during World War II, was asked if he thought the firebombing of Tokyo was a war crime. He responded yes. Of course. But it's only a war crime if you lose. Ravens form teenage gangs and live on their own for a while. They can get pretty aggressive. Years ago the big light bulb, as I like to call them, decided to purposefully turn down the lifespan of light bulbs to sell more, and the companies who didn't agree were alienated from trading with primary sources for light bulbs. The guy that made the hydrogen car driving across country on water got increasing paranoid he was going to get killed. Called his mother, said if anything happens to me the government did it. Dies right after in a diner puking black liquid. Then the hiding of the Chevy Volt. That Google is always listening to your microphone. Hey, race an experiment. Go to a site that has Google Ads and see what's there. Then turn your laptop/phone off and start speaking to someone about a completely random topic you never/rarely mentioned before. Preferably a noun or object. After about 3 minutes, go back to your device and search those same sites as before and look at the ads. Most likely, the ads are relevant about what you just talked about. And that's why I'm paranoid. That the government makes these Ask Reddit posts to see how much we know and see what's going through the populace. That America has lost 11 nuclear warheads that could go off at any time. Japan had their own Holocaust, which they tortured and experimented civilians with methods much worse than the ones that were used in the Holocaust. Our government spies on us domestically with a workaround called the 5 Eyes, which allows 4 other countries to query our NSA database and report the findings back as a loophole. Operation Mockingbird is the CIA controlling the MSM to spread propaganda and sway political elections. Check the 5 Eyes and Operation Mockingbird Wikipedias. There is an island you aren't allowed to visit with an unintelligible civilization. It's called North Sentinel Island and it's home to the Sentinelese. Any and all contact is pretty much always rejected, often violently, and everyone just leaves them alone. Chris Penn, the actor, died choking on a Dorito, and Frito-Lay, who owns Doritos, paid to cover it up.